Prime Minister Motley, members of the government of Barbados, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the family of Sir Garfield Sobers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, may I offer our profound condolences to Sir Garfield's family, friends, and all who knew him. I feel deeply honored to have been invited to participate in this ceremony as we gather to lay to rest one of Barbados' finest sons and one of the greatest figures in the history of Caribbean civilization. I therefore wish to express my sincere gratitude to the government and people of Barbados for extending this invitation. We have come today to Kensington Oval, a place that has witnessed so much of the unfolding drama of West Indies cricket, to bid farewell to a man who lived in the hearts and minds of Caribbean people and became a source of inspiration to millions throughout the world. Not far from this historic rung at Bayland, a child was born 89 years ago who would grow to become the greatest all-round cricketer the world has ever known. Sir Garfield Sobers was not merely the outstanding cricketer of his generation, he brought to the beautiful game a rare combination of brilliance, imagination, courage, and joy. During the Test career spanning 20 years and 93 Test matches, Sir Garfield scored 8,032 runs at a remarkable average of 57.78. He compiled 26 Test centuries, including the unforgettable 365 not out against Pakistan in 1958, the highest maiden Test century in the history of the game, and at that time, the highest individual Test score ever recorded. Permit me to make two observations. First, had the centuries he scored in the celebrated rest of the world matches been recorded, Test status, Sir Garfield would almost certainly have finished with 30 Test hundreds. Second, we should never regard his score of 365 not out as merely another statistic. Most batsmen reaching their first Test century would be content simply to celebrate the milestone, perhaps extending it to 150 or even 200. Not this extraordinary man, displaying immense powers of concentration and endurance. He occupied the crease for 10 hours and 14 minutes, fashioning one of the greatest innings cricket has ever witnessed. That record stood proudly for more than 30 years until it was surpassed by another batting genius and one who proudly regarded Sir Garfield's mentor, Brian Charles Lara. Yet, I do not wish merely to recount the statistics of Sir Garfield's remarkable career. I want instead to reflect on the privilege of sharing part of that journey with him, batting alongside him, playing under his captaincy. Watching him at close quarters and enjoying his friendship provided me with the finest cricket education any young player could ever hope to receive. At the age of just 17 years and 245 days, Garfield Sobers made his Test debut against England in 1954 as a slow left-arm bowler, replacing Alf Valentine. The following year, when asked to open the innings against Australia, he immediately displayed his immense promise with the bat, striking the great Australian fast bowlers Ray Lindwall and Keith Miller with remarkable assurance. I can do no better than quote the doyen of West Indian cricket writers, C.L.R. James. So far, there was to the reading eye only a promise. But now against the Australians in the West Indies, there could be no failure to see that a new man had arrived. That promise was not fully realized during the tours of New Zealand in 1956 and England in 1957. But 1957 was also a year of profound personal tragedy. Sir Garfield's closest friend, the Jamaican batsman Collie Smith, died following a motor vehicle accident in which Sir Garfield himself was driving. He often said that this experience transformed him. From that moment onwards, he felt that he was playing not simply for himself, but for two West Indians. His career blossomed magnificently during the MCC tour of the Caribbean in 1960-61. Here at Kensington Oval, he produced one of the greatest innings, scoring 226 and sharing a magnificent partnership of 399 to the fourth wicket with Captain Sir Frank Worrell. From then onward, the floodgates truly opened. He produced magical innings in Australia, dominated Australian state cricket, excelled in county cricket and the English leagues, and established himself beyond question as the finest all-round cricketer in the world. Whether with bat or ball, in the slips or around the bat, genius seemed to accompany everything he did. It was during this period that my own cricketing journey intersected with his. Long before I met him personally, Garfield Sobers was already known and admired throughout Guyana. Thousands of us watched in awe as he emerged from the pavilion of the Georgetown Cricket Club, his weight leaning slightly forward, his shirt casually unbuttoned, walking to the crease with unmistakable confidence and elegance. At border, he thrilled spectators with magnificent stroke play, astonishing athleticism, lightning reflexes in close catching positions, and the graceful rhythm of his bowling action. Those performances made him, in many respects, an adopted son of Guyana. I was fortunate enough to represent Guyana against the mighty Barbados team, a side that included several of the finest cricketers in the world. I use the word mighty deliberately, for Barbados in those days possessed extraordinary cricketing strength. In my first innings, I was struck leg before by the great Sir Garfield Sobers for naught. And someone of our brilliant guys said, "Oh, Clive Lloyd shuffled like cars." Happily, I redeemed myself by scoring a century in the second innings. That innings transformed my confidence. I realized that if I could succeed against Paul, Sobers, and Griffith, then perhaps I could compete successfully against the finest cricketers anywhere in the world. Permit me here to offer one piece of advice to those entrusted with the administration of our game today. Create opportunities for our young cricketers to compete regularly against the very best players in the region. There is no finer school for producing great cricketers. I was selected for the West Indies Tour of India in 1966 and played in the first Test match. I remember vividly walking to the wicket to join Sir Garfield Sobers. Together, we added some more than 100 runs. And I think we won that game too. But the point is, I was probably 19 or 20 And my room was opposite the captain, Sir Garfield Sobers. And many of the older players would come across and have a chat and so on. And he beckoned me, he said, come on across, young man. So I was listening to him, and all of a sudden he said, listen, come and have a tuk-tuk. And this tuk-tuk was a little bit of whiskey that he had in this jug. And he said it would kill the germs. So I went back for 5 days to have my tuk-tuk. I don't know if it killed the germs, but I didn't drink in those days, but it tasted quite good, I must say. In my that innings transformed my confidence. I realized if I could succeed against Hall and Griffith, then I could get back play. I was selected for the West Indies tour of India in '66. Played in the first test. I remember vividly walking to the wicket to join Sir Garfield Sobers. And he said to me, I think we need 246 to win. And he said, I think, young man, I'll let you know when we should have a go. So I was playing around watching the great man at the other end. And at one stage he said, oh, let's have a go now. And we knocked it off because India probably thought they would have won that game because it was turning pitch on the last day. But as we were walking off, he said, I'm so glad that we won this game before, an hour after, we would have missed 10,000 guineas. And I'm thinking, we just won our first test match, and you're thinking of going to the races. But the point is that he instills confidence in you, really. And I just took a liking to him. And he, as Brian Lara said earlier, he was my mentor, somebody that you looked up to. He was a kind, very generous person. He'd give you his last dollar. Garfield Sobers was a citizen of the world. Many distinguished cricket writers have described Sir Garfield's batting from the comfort of the press box or commentary position. I had the privilege of watching him from 22 yards away. Against Indians' outstanding spin bowling, he displayed extraordinary composure, balance and mastery. Every over became a lesson. Every stroke revealed another dimension of his genius. Watching gave me confidence, and I was able to contribute a worthwhile innings myself. Throughout that series, Sir Garfield excelled not only as one of the world's greatest batsmen, but also as our captain and one of our leading bowlers. Unfortunately, I was not selected for the Tour of England, but where Sir Garfield produced one of the greatest all-round performances in cricket history, scoring 722 runs at an average exceeding 100, while also taking wickets with his bowling figures of 5 for 4-1, his best bowling figure. When I returned to the West Indies team in 1973, Sir Garfield's magnificent career was drawing towards the conclusion. He retired in 1974, the very year I succeeded Rohan Kanai as captain. As captain, I sought constantly to apply the lessons I had learned while under the Sir Garfield Sobers. Above all, I came to the conclusion to understand that in the Caribbean, cricket is far more than a game. It is an expression of our identity, our confidence, and our shared aspiration as a people. As our friendship deepened over the years, Sir Garfield became not only a colleague, but also trusted mentor. He was a remarkable, modest man who cared deeply about West Indies cricket and wanted nothing more than to see it flourish. It was heartbreaking to witness this proud champion move to tears after one particularly disappointing West Indies performance in Sri Lanka. Today, I believe we can honor Sir Garfield Sobers in ways that extend beyond statues and ceremonies worthy those are. His extraordinary achievement as a fast bowler, as a left-arm spinner, in three distinct styles, as perhaps the greatest close catcher the game has ever seen, and as an incomparable batsman, should become the foundation of institutions dedicated to nurturing future generations. We should study not only what Sir Garfield accomplished, but how he accomplished it. What inner drive compelled him to reach such heights? What vision inspired him each time he walked to the crease or began his run to the wicket? What dreams guided him as captain of the West Indies team? These are questions worth asking because the answers can inspire generations yet unborn. His legacy deserves to live not only in bronze or marble, but in academies, coaching programs, scholarships, and centers of excellence that prepare young Caribbean cricketers for the higher level of international competition. The Caribbean should do no less. As I conclude, I am reminded of the familiar lines from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, A Psalm of Life. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime and departing leave behind us the footprints on the sand of time. So Garfield Sobers has indeed left indelible footprints upon the sands of time. May we have the wisdom, the courage, and the imagination to follow them. May his gentle soul rest in the peace of Christ and rise in glory. Thank you.